They are on the starting line. You see over 200 athletes, nearly 250 athletes. The white flag is up. We'll see our starter there in the middle. And this is one of the toughest races to win not only in the NCAA, but around the world. So many athletes vying for one title individually, one title as a team, and they're down in their position. The gun is going up. Red flag is up. Gun rises. And they are off. The 2017 NCAA Division I Women's Championship is underway. And Gordon, you guys were here at the course. I think you ran it the other day. What was it like out there?
Oh, it's muddy. It's not hard. It's very soft. And we are going to be coming up in about 200 meters. There's going to be a big moment in this race because it funnels very quickly, and there is a steep ditch at the end of this straightaway. So in about a few minutes, we're going to see who really gets in good position early.
So I want to point out Oregon up front there in the yellow you see. One of the coaches I spoke with yesterday said Oregon at championships does a great job of getting out hard, and in a race like this where there's so many people and the conditions can be a little adverse, if they get out early, there's a chance they can hold them off and upset some of those teams today.
You know, the course starts so wide here with the start line, which always feels good as an athlete to be on the front, but then when it narrows, as this course does, it can make it really hard, just increase how fast everybody has to start to put themselves up front, because you don't want to have to be passing on this course.
I'm impressed by how the Oregon women have already established themselves out front. They did not mess around at all.
You can see the leaves blowing and the flags blowing in the distance. The wind is definitely rolling in. Again, if you're just joining us, they're saying 20 to 30 mile an hour winds with up to 40 to 50 mile an hour gusts throughout the day. And there is the team. You see some Michigan, Stanford with some great position with Frazier and O'Keefe. And Kara, how important is it to get position in this 6K, in that first K or mile here?
I think it depends on the way the course is set up. At this championship, though, you got to be in it to win it, or at least within striking distance. And we can see Edna and Krista and Danny and Katie Rainsberger, all the favorites are in that lead pack already. So they've all gotten out aggressively, and they've positioned themselves well.
Yeah, you see Alio up there. Gordon, we mentioned, coming back, one of the top finishers here 2 years ago. But a really, really great shot there of that pack. And again, about 250 women out there competing today.
And they're hugging that inside rail. They really want to make sure they run the shortest distance possible here. And already we have a big move. I think that's Caroline Sang out of Charlotte, already starting to drop Edna Kergat early on in the first 2 minutes of this race.
So, yeah, it'll be interesting to see how the ladies respond to this early move. I mean, with the wind, Kara, are you going to go out there alone with that one athlete with the wind conditions
I'm
today?
not. When I won, it was very, very windy as well back in 2000, and I bid my time, and I waited until about 2.5 miles before I took over. So I would wait a little bit. I would want to be up front, but I wouldn't want to be out alone, not having anyone else to work with.
You got to be careful not to spread yourself too thin on a sloppy course too, because you end up paying for going out too hard too early late in the race.
And Kara and Jared, question for both of you: how important is it to be feeding off of teammates you're seeing early on in this part of the race?
It's important. These are the people you train with. You guys feed off of each other, and it gives you confidence to see your teammates around, to know you're all executing as you should be.
That's the advantage of cross country. You know, you're always running with them, and you look up and you see a teammate that you've been running next to in workouts for 3 months, and you think, you know what? I run next to him every day. I can do it.
So, yeah, we mentioned earlier, that's Caroline Sang out of Charlotte. She's a junior. She qualified individually out of the Southeast region and already putting herself up there with the heavy favorites in Kergat and Charlotte Taylor there and Eleanor Pure. So, Caroline, we never talked about her all year long. She could sneak into that top 5. Will be very impressive.
Yeah, she came in ranked 14th in the individual rankings prior to this weekend, so definitely running strong up there right now. And you know, we the four of us, we talked in the pre-show about Edna Kergat and mentioned, you know, she said yesterday she hasn't run in a competitive championship environment like this. This is really her first big test. So seeing if she's going to stay with the ladies, could she be one that breaks away and runs away from this field? And if that's the case, does someone like Carissa Schweitzer go with her and try to win her second title?
Depends on when she makes that break, I think. Depends on how aggressive it is and how early it comes. But, I mean, all of the favorites are right there right now. We're not missing anyone.
And if I recall correctly, I believe Edna Kergat, she ran with the pack at Wisconsin for a majority of the race and really made that break, I think, at the 3K or 4K mark, and no one was able to go with her. So she may be going with the same strategy here where stay controlled and then in the last 2K really hammer it.
Charlotte Taylor looks to be right in the middle of that group for San Francisco. And here's a great shot. I see a bunch of Arkansas there in the back packed together. So they're going to be looking to move up. They're ranked in the top 10 coming into the day.
I saw a Lobo. I saw a New Mexico Lobo. It must have been their fifth. Their fifth. So keep an eye on that team battle. And so you can see a overview of the map of where they are currently on the course. They changed the course. The loop, outer loop, is a little smaller this year. And now they're kind of running back towards the start line, and then they'll loop back and do the loop all over again.
So Kergat and Sang up front running pretty comfortably right now. Carrie, you told me you were a favorite coming in your junior year, and you talked about when you were trying to make your move. And that move was a little different than you had hoped it would be. What can you talk about that move for you and when you're trying to make moves in a race like this?
Yeah, my junior year, I just kind of tried to force it. I was undefeated and one of the favorites, and I kind of made this panicky move at like 1,200, 800 out, and it was fake, and everyone could smell it. And coming down the home stretch, people were flying by me, and so you got to know when you're going to make those moves. I came back my senior year knowing I was going to go hard at the 2.5 mile mark. We were at 6K that year, and I'd still have about a mile drive in, and when I win, I win. And so you got to be confident.
So it looks like we are about 6 minutes and 20 seconds in, and there you go. You're going to see our first split at the 2K, and it looks like they're going to come through in 6:22. So Kergat, Sang, Charlotte Taylor, Carissa Schweitzer, Ali Ostrander, Katie Rainsberger, Sharon Lucchesi of Kansas, Eleanor Perrier, and Koech of UTEP, all right there. A lot of those names we talked about on the top of the show, and there you see the splits on the board. So Kergat and Sang right there, side by side, not giving an inch right now. And that pack of runners, just a deep pack strung out through the field.
And then right now, Oregon currently has a slight lead, but that is only with 3 team scores. So we're going to wait until New Mexico really scores their 5th to see where they are. And here we go. Oregon right now has a lead, 171, Colorado 180, San Francisco 189, and New Mexico 231.
Stanford is in 5th at 255, Arkansas 283, Michigan 295. You got Furman, who is ranked 10th. They're in 8th right now at 313, and Boise State 445. So those top 3 teams, Oregon, Colorado, San Francisco, only separated by 18 points. And Oregon, the team ranked 5th coming into today, we said if they got out early, they could surprise and hold off these teams, and that's what they're doing right now, 2K in.
Yeah, it's interesting development here, especially New Mexico, 60 points back from our leading team, which is Oregon. So they're going to have to, it's all about their number 5, and that number 5 is going to have to start closing in on some points back in that middle of that pack.
Let's remember, though, we're only a third of the way through, so there's a lot of work that can happen. A lot of women can work through the field, and other women might fade. Colorado, I see them, good pack. I see McKenna, and they're working together. We got a big pack coming through with Sage, so we'll just see. It's early on. Oregon got out really well, so I'm not surprised to see them leading at that first split.
Kara, I know you saw the Colorado group. You're obviously out in Boulder, nearby all the action. You see Danny Jones there, off the leaders. What's the mindset for these ladies right now, and how do you kind of examine where they're at?
I think they look great. I mean, they know they need to run the full 6K. Race isn't going to be run in the first 3, but they got to get all the way to the finish. So I think they look positioned very well, and as long as they're strong and they run the way they've trained, they'll have a great second half.
And
already we're seeing a development here with, not everyone's being able to go with Edna's pace already. We're already down to now our top 7 athletes there up front, or 6 athletes, excuse me. As you can see, Ali Buchowski starting to fall off. But Danny Jones, you got to imagine she's got a time to kind of get back into that front group, because if she's with that front group, she has the better kick than any of them.
And she's in the single digits right now, so she's still in a good place. But up front, Katie Rainsberger and Charlotte Taylor really, really helping their teams right now with those low sticks, and such a close team battle. So really going to be important to see if they can keep themselves up there. You see Sang fading back a little bit and stepping through some mud there, having a little trouble getting through. So it's Kergat, Taylor, Ostrander, Rainsberger, and Schweitzer, your top 5. Sang starting to fade slightly, but I'm really impressed with Ali Ostrander right now.
She looks really good. She looks very composed. She looks like she's just tucked in for the ride. I'm very impressed with her as well.
Very responsive to the separation too. She looks like she's feeling good.
And again, ran really fast on this course 2 years ago when she finished second. The course, as you mentioned, Gordon, slightly different if you're trying to compare times and be a stat master out there. So I don't think the change in the course really changed the difficulty much, just slight alterations. But really, really interesting now as you see Schweitzer starting to fade from this lead group as looks like they just went by the 2 mile mark on the screen. So they're about 10:20 or so going through there. And Kara, if you're a favorite like Schweitzer, what do you think is going through her mind at the moment?
You don't like to see that separation, but there's still so much more running to do, and she has to be confident in the way she ran everyone down last year. So I wouldn't be panicked yet. I wouldn't be pumped about it, but I think there's still plenty of time in the race. She needs to stay focused. She needs to remember that she's a great closer and just keep at it.
And see, this is where they are on the course right now. As you saw, they made that first loop. Now they're coming back doing a second loop. And then it's just one final giant loop before they hit that home stretch. And Kergat, Taylor, and Ostrander right now are top 3 looking strong up front.
Yeah, and the 3 up front look pretty good. This is a great shot here. This group behind him, Furman.
There's Pizik of San Francisco.
Yep.
I see 2 San Francisco up there, so that's great news for them.
2 New Mexico just went by. I saw Colorado. Here's a couple more from Colorado. It looks like 3 Colorado right together, so that's a great group. They're going to need to move up. Oregon has got 2 right there.
Do not see Wayne Kaladi, where that's going to be key for New Mexico. So if New Mexico doesn't have that strong top 4, that they might be out of that team title chase, because I'm not sure if I saw her. Maybe she was hidden behind an athlete. But Wayne Kaladi not seen so far.
So up front, it looks like Kergat is starting to possibly put a gap on the rest of the field here as they're going down a right-hand turn here, and I think they're about to make another uphill right, and you see that separation that Kergat has on the rest of the field. This is going to be big, a big low stick for New Mexico, and they're up the hill and around the bend, and we'll see them come up here and get a sense of that gap. It looks like, oh man, Kara, that's about 10, 20 meters real
That's
quick.
significant in a short amount of time. She looks good. This has obviously been planned out ahead of time, or she felt it was the right time to strike, and she's made that move. It's dominant. I mean, the other women still look good behind her, but she's clearly putting a lot of daylight between them.
You can see Rainsberger fading a little bit, and Schweitzer now moving up to what looks to be 4th place as Kergat separating from this field, and we said it could be a close race between the front ladies, or Kergat might be the lady to really open things up and take off, and it looks like that's what's happening here.
Coming through that split, that looks like that's 12:50 officially there for Kergat, New Mexico. Taylor, Ostrander, 12:53, and there's Schweitzer now moving up into 4th, so she's holding on, kind of staying strong in that top 4. And so is Rainsberger as well, in 13:01.
So we'll get our splits here. See if we can get you some more on the screen. But yes.
Oh, I was wrong about Kaladi. Kaladi's in the top 7.
So Kaladi's number 7 right now. So New Mexico with 2 in the top 7. That is going to be huge points for the Lobos as Kergat continues to lead. I don't think she's pulling away as quickly as she was a moment ago, but that lead is definitely going to be a gap that's going to be tough to make up for Charlotte Taylor. But Taylor now starting to separate from Ali Ostrander.
Yeah, Taylor is definitely focused in on that. She hasn't relinquished that opportunity to win yet, but Edna does look really good. She's powering away, and she's gone to the arms already. Someone just walked between them, which says there's a pretty big distance between them.
And we have an update in team scores.
Oh,
San
wow.
Francisco unofficial with the early lead here, 125, Colorado 130, New Mexico 135, and Oregon 149, Stanford 202.
Oh my God.
Look at that.
24 points separating the top 4 teams, and it might adjust slightly. Some of the runners only have 5 in right now, but that's where they stand at the moment. Your top 5, 10 points between the top 3. We saw 9 points separate last year's top 3, and Oregon right there in fourth, just off of the top three. But those are your podium teams at the moment, with 7 scored on 3 of those teams. Stanford at 202. Furman has moved up to 6th place at 260. NC State at 280. Michigan at 286. So really close for the 6, 7, 8 spots. And Boise State still in that top 10 at 305.
So close again.
Those team scores are stressing me out. I'm really stressed out.
Kara, Colorado's been a team on the men's side definitely, and on the women's to have a great the second half of the race. What do you think that it's going through their minds and Coach Wetmore's mind right now?
I mean, they know they can't fade. They cannot lose the race here, and so they know that, and they're going to be doing everything they can. But it is really nerve-wracking from this point of view to watch, I got to say.
Very interesting that New Mexico, with 2 in the top 7, is not leading this race. That really begs the question of where are their 3, 4, and 5?
Perhaps maybe Oregon was out a little too hard at the beginning of the race now. And they're fading a tiny bit as a team. But Edna is putting on a clinic here. She's clearly pulled away, and she wants this race to be hers.
It looks like we might have a new champ, a changing of the guards once again in NCAA Division I women's cross country. Edna Kergat went to Liberty University her first 2 years, sat out last year at New Mexico, and is now back and has been undefeated this season, and it looks like she's going to remain that way. Behind her, Charlotte Taylor from San Francisco running a great one, and we're just over 16 minutes into this 6,000 meter race, so we're probably coming up on a little less than a K to go for Kergat.
You see the back half of this field here coming through. Again, every point matters for these teams, not in the top 4. There's still some battles to try to make the top 10. Your 5th could be somewhere in the 150 to 200th range and still be in that top 15 team spot. And
they're on that back stretch where that red dot is the 5K mark. So for some of those ladies that we have some splits, it's Kergat running through at about 16:04, Taylor 16:13, 16:17 for Ostrander, Sang in the 5th spot, in the 4th spot, Pyzik is San Francisco. So San Francisco with 2 in the top 6 or in the top 5. That's a very, very dangerous weapons there for them right now. Schweitzer back in 9th, back in 8th, just behind Kaladi. So Schweitzer does not look like she'll repeat here. Still fighting for a top 10 finish would be a really great showing, with last year being her first time as an All-American. And up front, Kergat, you see that distance she has. And Taylor, looks like it's going to be a pretty good gap for her in front of Ostrander, and we're going to get a great read on this pack. Look at this. Amy Eloise-Neal has moved up. Sang there. Kaladi. And it looks like Utah's in there.
I think that might have been Rainsberger on the back there. These women are looking good. They're running fast. They're running hard. There's Gus out there. They're looking great. And Allie's done a great job.
And there you go. That's your top 10 coming in. So we got Furman in there. And also there's Schweitzer just in front of Rainsberger, and another from San Francisco. And updated team scores at the 3rd split. New Mexico 120, San Francisco 122, Colorado 168. That is a very close battle up front, Gordon.
Oh, it's going to be close. I mean, anything can happen in the final 1K here. We saw it pre-nationals. There were so many place changes in the final 1K on this course. It's a very easy final 1K. So people will move up and people will drop. But right now, New Mexico and San Francisco looking good up front. And there's Edna Kergat on her way to her first NCAA title.
She sees it in her sights, a little less than 200 meters away she is from there. And look at that, Charlotte Taylor has not given up, and Amy Eloise-Neal has known to have a dangerous kick. Allie Ostrander in 4th. Watch out for Amy Eloise-Neal from Washington in the purple. Do they have enough ground to make up on Edna Kergat? Behind them, Utah, Sang right there. And it looks like San Francisco's 2nd. New Mexico's got 2 in that top 10 still. Kergat looks like she's gonna win this title. I don't think they're going to have enough room to catch her, but Amy Eloise-Neal is coming with some power for 2nd there. Great run by her in the later stages here. Edna Kergat is going to be your champ 19:20, and Amy Eloise Neal of Washington right there in second. It's going to be Charlotte Taylor, 19:28, Ostrander in fourth. Isaac is coming through, and there's San Francisco second, New Mexico second, Sang, and there Murphy from Utah. Furman's got there first. Here comes Danny
Carissa
Jones.
and Danny Jones.
Carissa Schweitzer.
There's 3-4 for New Mexico.
And there's San Francisco's third. Now Oregon's got another in there. Perrier from New Hampshire's in. Oh gosh, they're coming in. Michigan's gonna have two. It looks like Stanford's Frazier now finishing.
Here comes the rest of the Colorado pack.
And try to look for New Mexico's fifth. Their top four are already in. You look for that baby blue teal color of the New Mexico. They need to be probably in the top 100 to have a chance.
It was San Francisco and
Colorado has 4.
And New Mexico. Here comes Colorado's fifth. On the right of your screen.
It's Maddie Borman.
Maddie Borman it is.
And there's New Mexico in the pink headband.
Behind Minnesota, that's New Mexico's fifth, and their sixth is not far behind. Oregon has one behind them, or two right there with New Mexico. We're getting some reads on team scores unofficially, and it looks like right now as they finish, New Mexico is leading over San Francisco. Colorado and Stanford are there for podium spots. Oregon may have faded, and we're going to wait for these runners to keep coming in to see where the final scores tabulate here. But man, Gordon, we're getting pretty close to official.
I think it's going to be very close, but I think New Mexico might have taken this.
New Mexico, 15 points right now, they're saying, ahead of San Francisco. So the Lobos coming in as the favorite, San Francisco the underdog, and 15 points behind right now. Colorado about 49 points behind New Mexico at 139 and Stanford at 164. Kara, what did you see out there?
I just think New Mexico had such a good second half. They just moved their way up. They stayed calm and focused, and they just ran unbelievable.
Now again, these scores can be unofficial, but 15 points lead unofficially. New Mexico may have just won their second team title in the past 3 years. New Mexico over San Francisco.
Hey, good mojo for the New Mexico Lobos here in Louisville, but we have seen some crazy things happen when scores are this close, so we need to make sure we get those official reads in. I know as we wait for that, we see some of these runners coming in. We're going to get set up to interview some of our winners today. As Edna Kergat, Kara, before we get to talk to Edna, what'd you take away from her performance today?
I thought she ran super well, super poised. She had her plan. She executed it perfectly, and she just powered on home. She didn't even have to kick for it. So she ran a great race. What a way to enter the championship.
And I think it's a very impressive run there for San Francisco women, taking second here after a sixth-place finish last year and 15 points out of the title. But it's all about New Mexico.
Yes, and we're going to send it down to the finish line with our team who's standing with New Mexico women.
I'm here with Edna Kergat, the women's NCAA champion today. Edna, you broke away pretty early in the race. Was that your plan today?
I wasn't planning to go crazy early in the race, but due to the pressure behind me, it pushed me to. I tried to escape early enough as possible here.
And were you running as fast as you could that whole time?
No, I tried to stay consistent. My worry was to go early fast and then people can catch me, so I tried to conserve myself for the finish line.
And could you tell how much of a lead that you had?
I couldn't, but I was like, let me just look forward, not turning back.
And you guys just sealed the team title. How's it feel to take home not only the individual championship, but the team win for New Mexico?
I'm so overwhelmed by that. I told you earlier before in Wisconsin that it's my prayer that we won as a team, and it's worth a lot to have grown as a team than an individual. And I'm so overjoyed, I don't know how to express myself anymore.
Well, can we get your teammates on?
Yeah, sure, man.
Okay. Lobos, you want to get on?
Look at that celebration.
That's a fun time right there. Huh?
All right, here with the New Mexico Lobos. Ladies, Alice, this is your 4th year at the championships. How does it feel to take home another team win?
Wow, it really is such a special feeling. For me, this season's been a bit of a challenge with like injuries and things, and it's just been a bit of a battle. So it like really makes it that much sweeter, I think, to get that victory in the end. You know, it just, wow, yeah, it's amazing. I can't explain it. To have this happen to me twice for the team is just incredible.
And this year being a little bit more surprising than the 2015 win.
So in 2014 we got 3rd, and that was a similar feeling to kind of, we had no idea that we were even in contention for 3rd, and I remember getting that 3rd in 2014 and being like, wow, like, you know, if this team can develop and progress from here, like, what we can do, and to finish off with a team title in my senior year, I mean, it really means so much, so yeah.
Congratulations. Freshman here today, finishing in the top 10. How was that race for you?
What do you say?
Oh, well, great, especially for my team. There is no words. I'm so proud. Everybody inspired me to be a part of this race. It's not my work. I will give credit to my team. They're great people. They deserve it. I'm so proud of them.
The Lobos, all about the team. Is there a team chant that you guys have?
Let's rage.
Yeah,
let's rage. Let's rage.
Congratulations, ladies.
Thank you. Go Lobos!
Go Lobos! Woo!